Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the Diamond and Into the Deep. I am your host, Mahal, as always, and
What is up, everybody? Happy New Year, and welcome back to On the Diamond and Into the Deep with Mahal.
Maybe 2 days away when you're
We're now on
maybe
Apple,
1 day away.
we're on
Maybe
Spotify,
you're listening
we're now
to
on
this
YouTube,
on
we got the
opening day.
TikTok going.
Now,
Let's do
we're
this.
close to returning home.
It's a new year,
I returned home
it's
yesterday.
a new me,
I
it's a
went
new podcast,
to the opening week warm-up at T-Mobile
it's
Park,
a new
and,
city,
if
it's
you
a
were
new
at,
Mariners,
the playoff game,
it's a
or
new
even
Kraken,
any just weekend games really
it's a new
last year,
Huskies,
any of those big crowd games,
man,
you know what it's
we
like
rolling.
to madhouse there.
Let's go.
That were just there, like in the clubhouse, on
Happy
the field, in the
2024.
just all around. It really does
And
show.
hopefully,
the
we're
growth
going
this
to
team
have
has
a
in terms of
happy
fans.
October in
And the amount of
2024
kids I saw
and a
there was
happy
absolutely
summer
amazing.
in
And
2024
like, I'm
as Mariner fans.
Kinda a kid myself, you know.
We got
I mean,
off
but,
to
like,
a quick
like
start
young kids
with Mariners
that are
rumors
amped,
and
that
Mariners
are
news this
hyped
year.
because it's the
Starting
Mariners, you know. Oh my God, it's
just
Cal
about
Raleigh's locker.
12 hours
I
in.
was like that too a little bit. Oh my God, it's
If you didn't
Cal.
see already,
There's a dump truck in his locker.
at
But,
the
like,
Winter Classic at
I saw a
T-Mobile
little
Park
dude. I saw a dude that's
in
like
the
4 or 5
owner's
years old.
suite,
He's with his parents.
John
He's at the Cal Raleigh
Stanton
locker,
and the rest of the ownership group's
and
suite
he sees
at the
locker,
ballpark
and his parents are like,
sat.
That's Big Cal's
Canadian-born,
locker. The kid goes, "It's Big
Mariners'
Cal.
homegrown
It's Big Cal."
pitcher,
He's like 4 years old. This kid is 4 years
James
old.
Paxton.
He knows who Cal Raleigh is. Like, come on.
If you
That's
don't remember
incredible.
him,
It is
came out of the
truly incredible.
woodworks too late.
Like, that just warms my heart.
James
Because when I was a kid, that's kind of what
Paxton
I was. Like. I was that
came
kid
up as a Mariner
at school. Would wear,
in 2013, had
baseball
3
pants, get the Ichiro
wins that year,
jersey on,
4
Mariners
starts
coat on
through
every
24
day,
innings that year.
Baseball socks, you got the pants rolled up.
He left
like,
Seattle after the
basically cleats on my
2018
feet,
season.
like every day to school.
That season,
was
he
like-
had
I was
2
like, I'm a
complete
Mariners
games,
player when I went to
1
school.
shutout.
Like, when I go back to my elementary school and there's teachers that were there, or I see teachers that were there. at
He
that
then
time,
went
they're like,
to the New
"Oh,
York
yeah, you were
Yankees
that
for
kid
2
that wore the
seasons.
baseball uniform, right?" I'm
He
like,
then
yeah.
came
I
back
still do that.
home,
I still do that every day to school.
pitched an inning
Like,
and a third,
Still, and I mean, like,
got
I saw
injured.
kids like that too, and I'm like, the passion
was out
that
all of
I had at
2022,
that age was similar to what these kids
out
had.
a lot
These
of
kids are doing
2023,
that's not only kind of fun,
and he
but
came
this team's
back in
actually good.
2023
This team could
with
make
the
playoffs.
Boston
This
Red
team probably
Sox,
will make the playoffs. I don't want to jinx anything.
and he
We'll get into
pitched
preview a little bit in this episode, but also more so in an
96
episode
innings
Thursday. And sorry I didn't get
on
an
the
episode
dot,
last
96
week.
innings, with
bunch
a
of stuff,
4.50
but I'm gonna try
ERA.
and get to 2 episodes a week now that the season's
He
starting.
struck out
But I mean,
101 batters.
it's truly amazing to see the passion that people have around this team, and not only
He had an
fans,
ERA plus
to
of
see
101,
kids, they are excited,
and all of those
they know
stats were
who these
down
players are,
after a
and it's
very,
awesome.
very
It
good start for
really is
Paxton.
awesome, and it
Was
warms
then
my heart to see. It makes
put
me
on hold
extremely happy to see.
and a little bit
Now,
hurt
welcome back.
by what
Today we're gonna
probably
do
was
some
injury
preview stuff.
ridden
We're gonna talk about
the
some
second half of his
positional
tenure
things.
of last
I will
season,
do pitchers on Thursday.
and he ended up
I was,
finishing the
maybe
season
do it
on the
today,
disabled
but
list, the injured
just got
list.
some pretty big news about Bryan Woo.
But
and
James
I'll kick off
Paxton
with
is a
that.
good pitcher. He
Bryan
gets
Woo has
injured
some
a
elbow
lot.
inflammation. This is per Ryan Divish.
And this
he's
is
gonna
an
start the season on the IL.
interesting
That
thought
means
for
we are
Seattle.
going to see Mr. Hancock.
And let me explain
We're
why.
going to see Hancock early.
So,
We're going to see him
let's say
right away. We're going to see him
you sign James
5 days
Paxton.
into the season. We're going
You
to see
bring
him
him
on
back
Monday.
home.
Yay!
And Paxton will cost you
Yay!
somewhere between 8 to
Something like that. I don't
12
really know.
to 15
However,
million dollars, probably
This
probably
Woo
less
thing
than 15.
started off with
But
a
he'll
tweet
probably
from Ryan
get something
Divish that
around
just
$10
said
million
Bryan Woo will go
with
on
this
the
market,
IL with elbow
as this
inflammation.
market is
Now, anytime you see elbow
ridiculous. We
inflammation,
saw
you're like,
Lucas
"Oh,
Giolito, who
damn."
was
You know,
just
it's like elbow
terrible
inflammation is
last
bad.
year,
That's the type
get
of thing that
nearly
you're like,
20
elbow
million.
inflammation? What does that mean? Oh, probably gonna lead to Tommy John.
He was
And Bryan Woo
terrible.
was
Let me
already had Tommy
explain
John.
this.
So you're
Lucas
like,
Giolito
oh no,
was
very
bad
Now,
last season.
Divish followed this tweet with a couple
He had an
of outs of other
ERA
players,
of almost
including Sam
5
Haggerty,
last
Matt
season.
Brashgeiger
He was
Santos. I'll
8
mention
and
that in a second.
15. He
But
got almost
following
20
up
million in
this
this
tweet,
market.
talking more about Woo.
So
Now,
James
he said that
Paxton
it
will
was a thing where
probably
he
get
couldn't
around
get
$10
loose
million.
for a bullpen. His
But
very
let's
last
say
opening
the
day,
Mariners sign him
we
for
were
$10
that
million
that
on a
close to
1
making
or
it
2 year deal.
in the one bullpen. Now,
The
Justin Hollander
idea
said that it's similar
then
to when we went out
would
of the IL last
probably
season. Now, I saw some people look
be
at it, and Divish also
to
mentioned this.
trade
But when
one
we
of
went
your
out
starters.
the IL last year,
Ideally,
it
you'd
was
be
about 18
trading
days.
probably Bryan Woo
It
or
was the
Bryce
middle of
Miller,
August. You can go look
and
at
I'll
it
get
yourself.
into
You can go
later
find
which one
tweets,
of those
whatever
I
you
would
want to do.
prefer.
I'm sure
I'm
there's
still
articles on Seattle
debating
Times
as
about
we
it.
go on recording
Now,
because they are both
this is
very
still
good
worrying
with such high
because
upside.
18 days.
But continue
It's
listening if
18
you
days
want
of
to hear
season, and
about
they're going to
which
have
one
to limit
I
those
think
innings. So
is a
the
better
18 days
idea
is going to have to come in
to trade.
somewhere,
But
obviously. But like,
if you
to
sign
start off the
Paxton for
season
like
kind of
10
sucks,
million,
especially
about that,
when this
then you
Mariners
go
team
trade
had a
one of those
chance
dudes. With
to
this
get ahead
market
of the teams around them. And it
right
was probably
now,
going to be a
if you're
more
trading
close
one of those two
game,
dudes, you
probably
are
be able to-
expecting
and they can still do it.
2 good
It's one of
bats.
your starters down.
Are they
Probably your
going to
fifth
be
starter, too.
elite bats
Your
by
other
any
4
means?
starters, I
No.
feel really
But
good
let's
about.
say you
We'll
go
talk
up to the
about that on
Tampa Bay
Thursday, but
Rays and you say,
obviously,
we want
Castillo and Kirby are truly
Isaac
what I feel
Paredes
great about.
and
But,
Randy
I
Arozarena
mean, a
for
Miller
Bryce
infielder,
Miller
I also feel
or Bryan
really
Woo.
good about, actually.
That is
Probably didn't get
around,
on the episode on Thursday,
in
so
my
make sure you
opinion
listen
at
to that
least,
one.
where
But
their value
I feel
sits.
really good about it. And
Now, that's different
it
from
is
what they'll
still worrying to
necessarily
see
get
this,
because the
especially
market
Woo, as I said,
will
is a
truly
dude that
prove
has
what their
gone through
value
Tommy
would
John
be,
surgery before, and he's had arm
and they're
issues.
only worth
He's
what a
had
team is
injury
willing to
trouble.
pay for.
So that part of it, that
But
aspect is
based on
worrying.
what players are getting in the market right now,
But
that's about where
if
they're at.
Hollander is right that this is similar to last year,
And that is why a
don't
James
go jump
Paxton
off a
signing
bridge.
makes a lot of
Don't
sense
go
for this
blow up
Mariners
a
team.
house. Don't go blow up. You know what I'm saying?
Again,
Don't
around
lose him.
$10 million
All right? It sucks.
is
It
what
does.
Paxton would cost
But this was bound to
per
happen at
year.
some point. And we
It'd
should just
probably
be
be
glad
a
that it's
1 year
not
prove
worse
it
than
type of
this.
deal so that then he could go
Especially when
somewhere
it's a
else and
scare
sign.
with an elbow that has already gotten
And I think an
Tommy John
underrated
in the
part of
past.
an idea, if you were to sign him, would be
Divish said the hope
hopefully you
is
can get a
that
half
they will
season
get
out of
the
him.
inflammation out of the
Hopefully
elbow
he
7
can
to 10
gut through a
days
half
before
season, and
resuming
then
throwing.
you
He'll have
can
to
pair
ramp up
him
again.
and Robbie Ray,
But
who I think we've all
that's
forgotten
me.
about at this point.
I would guess,
Those two can pair together in a
and I have
rotation
zero
when they're
sourcing on
both
this.
going to
All
need
I
to be
know
able
is
to
what
stay
everyone
healthy
else
in
could
some
know
way.
from looking at Twitter,
They can
articles,
pair
whatever.
together in some way, whether
From
that's a
what I would
6-man,
guess,
whether that's
this is
one
the type of thing that
piggybacking off of the
kicks
other,
Woo in the
as in
butt
like
for
a
about
long
not
man
kicks
type
him in
of
the butt,
reliever
but that keeps
situation.
him out of the
Let's say Robbie Ray gets back
team
and
for
Paxton's healthy.
at least a month.
Robbie
I
Ray
would say we
pitches,
could
let's say,
see Woo, Greg
2
Sanchez
innings in
coming
his first
back
start. You then
at a
have
similar
Paxton
timeframe.
pitch
Now,
4.
on
That gets you
Santos,
to the 6th
he's going
inning.
to undergo
You then
an
have,
MRI
say you have the
on
lead,
opening day.
you go with
If it
one
comes
of your
back
relievers,
clean,
maybe it's Topa, then you
Divish
go
says he
Brash
will resume
Munoz to
the throwing
close it out,
program. So cross your fingers,
right?
hope to die that
And I
that will
think that
come
would
back
be the
clean,
idea if you were to
and
go
that's what
sign him.
matters. Now on
That'd be
another one of
part
those
of it,
pitchers,
as
I
well
mean, it's
as the
just pitcher news
major
after
part
pitcher news, huh?
being you would be able to trade one of those starting
Matt Brash threw
pitchers
25
so
pitches
go
today
get
at 80%
bats
off of a mound.
that are
85%,
controllable
sorry, off of a
and that are
mound.
affordable.
That's good news. I would guess
It is going to be hard to get what you would want
with no setbacks
for one of
and
those
everything going to
trades.
plan is that you're getting Brash back
But
first.
when you think about
And
the idea now
I think you probably understand
of
why.
that being the
I'd
main
guess
way
you
you're
keep
going to be
Brash
able to go
back
get
late
someone,
April, I would say. I don't rush any of this
probably
because
your
I don't
best route.
think there's any reason
There are a
to.
few other routes you could
But
take,
I
obviously.
would guess Brash
You
late
could
April.
trade prospects,
I
which
would
I'm not
guess
especially fond of
probably
because you need bats, obviously.
Woo next,
And I think
just
a
for the
lot of your
Santos news
prospects,
recovery.
especially
Didn't
your
do
higher
much.
prospects, are
But I would guess
bats.
Woo next probably. I would guess that's
And
about
I
it.
don't think you want to give away the
In
ability to have those bats that
like
could be
that.
young, controllable, and very
And then I
talented.
guess Santos comes
You
back
probably
right
want to
away.
keep those.
If there's this item,
So if
I
you
don't
were
know
to
if
trade
there's
one of the
one, but
pitchers, you'd be
if
able to
there
keep
is a game
almost all of those
homestand that
and
at
supplement
some
your
point
team
could
enough
end
this
May,
season to make
somewhere
you
around
a
April
competitor to
10th,
give you a
maybe
postseason
15th,
spot,
then I would expect
because
them to
that
get
is
back
the
around then.
expectation.
I do know that they're probably not.
The expectation of this team right now
not
is you are
now.
in your window, you're
The
competing for a
money
postseason. You're not even competing for a
big
postseason
portion
spot.
because
You
Billy Joel's
have a
coming.
postseason spot. You're competing for
Yeah,
the
but
division, and you're competing for the
concerts
World
on the field that I want to go win the
freaking
World Series in.
Series.
Thank you for
That's the
getting more
expectation.
profits, John Stanton.
And that
Appreciate
has
that,
to be the
bro.
expectation from the
Really
top
loved your comments
down.
King 5 today. Really fantastic. fantastic. Really, really.
And I think if you go sign James Paxton and trade one of those pitchers for a few bats,
let's do the positional preview.
That expectation gets a lot more clear because we need to see a vision from this team now. The vision has not been clear,
with your outfielders.
but that's what we need. We need a clear
We're
an
gonna start with the dude that we
obvious
should start with.
vision
Who's that dude? You probably
from
know
Jerry,
this dude.
from the front
His
office,
name is something.
from ownership, from the organization.
Julio
You need
Rod.
a clear
Oh,
direction from the
Julio
organization.
Rodriguez.
I think if
We're
you
gonna start
go
with
do
Julio
that,
Rodriguez.
that gives you a
He's
clear
6'3",
and
228
obvious
center
direction.
fielder, according to Fangraphs.
Now,
So he's a big old boy.
between Bryce Miller and
Last
Bryan
year
Woo,
was worth 5.9 F4. This year
it will
projected
be
for
a
5.5.
debate
That's
which one
incorrect.
you would rather trade.
He is going to be a 10-win player. He's going to win MVP.
And there are many reasons you would prefer one or the other.
Happens, it was because of me.
For instance, Bryce Miller, maybe you'd rather keep him because his fastball is ridiculous. And you can see this offseason the work he's putting in on a splitter as well as his slider to pair alongside that fastball, which will make it all the more lethal.
That is less than he was last year. That's the same.
But on the flip side, maybe you look at Bryan Woo and you say, well, he's got a good fastball already. He's got another, I believe he has a sinker. He also has a sinker in there that you also probably like. But then you look at all of Bryan Woo's arsenal, maybe you like that better. Maybe you like him longer term better than you like a Bryce Miller.
Probably 140 range.
With his repertoire of a fastball, sinker, cutter, slider, changeup.
Now, in my notes I wrote he needs to improve
Is that
his
what you
walk
prefer?
and strikeout
Or do you
rates,
prefer
and just needs to be
the
more
Bryan
consistent.
or
Now,
the
when you look
Bryce
at his
Miller?
savant, I think it's pretty
Jeez,
clear what
B and B, eh?
improve on.
The Bryce Miller,
And that is his walk and strikeout rate. And both
you prefer his fastball build off of the fastball.
But none of it's terrible.
Route. Not saying that Woo doesn't build off of it,
it's like, ooh, red.
but Bryce Miller's fastball, according to many, many metrics, is elite.
All those being percentages.
It's elite.
But all of those are in the blue, and you're like, where did he go?
But he doesn't have that super strong pitch to pair with it. And maybe that pitch is going to be that splitter that you see this offseason.
I mean, the whiff rate also kind of does that. Sweet spot's kind of
so,
alone there.
From a pure baseball standpoint, when I am looking at this,
it's really good barrels,
and you can look at their baseball savant as well. I think there's a lot of signs that may point to Bryan Woo
the other four
being the one you want to keep.
But it's like, oh, can you improve on this?
Woo is also younger at the age of 23. Miller is 25.
He is really good. But like
that does an injury concern and an innings limit probably this year with Woo concern you?
17 hits in 4 games or whatever it was.
Because if you were to trade one of those dudes, depth-wise, we're still not especially strong. And if you trade one of those dudes, your depth all the more diminishes.
It wasn't striking out, and he was walking a little bit.
So this is the debate that's going on inside of the Mariners front office.
If that's the Julio we get,
between Dipoto, Hollander, everyone in there.
Now, obviously, he's not going to do that.
That's the debate that's ongoing. If you're going to trade one of these dudes, which one's it going to be? And part of it probably will depend on what other teams, which one of the which pitcher they view as a better fit, and which pitcher they're willing to give up more for.
This is per baseball savant. That's pretty good. I won't lie.
Over the offseason, when I'm looking at Bryan Woo and Bryce Miller, another thing I've noticed is when looking through social media, and obviously this isn't the biggest teller, but they're both involved heavily with their teammates. Whether that's playing golf with them, whether that's just hanging out with them. But I think seeing Bryce Miller, his sort of social media presence, kind of with the rest of his teammates, whether that's commenting on posts, talking about them, posting a goofy picture of them, or whatever else. That's something that makes me think, ooh, I like Bryce Miller. I want him to stay. But I could say the same thing about Bryan Woo. He posts similar stuff.
I do think he will.
Where it's like he posted this video of Matt Brash yesterday taking a picture of Matt Brash's picture on the stadium. And Woo's Savant page is a lot more red. And if you've listened to the podcast for a while now, you'll know I use Baseball Savant a lot. I love it. Being able to see the metrics on a very easy to read scale helps you visualize it. And it's very visually appealing. But Bryce Miller's fastball is legit. Again, it is legit. And also, the worry about Bryan Woo's innings is also legit. So I don't know which one you prefer. It is a personal preference type of thing. And I think in the end, if they were to trade one of them, it will come down to what the other teams
this is the Julio Rodriguez we're talking
like.
about.
Which pitcher do they
He's good. He's going to be
prefer?
good. Now, what's interesting,
Bryan Woo last year walked more dudes.
Is you look at
his walk,
sinker,
or he walked more dudes, and he also struck out more dudes.
He got 12 run value out of that.
But that is because of his off-speed pitches. That's why he's going to walk more dudes, because he's throwing more pitches outside the zone. But that's also why he's going to strike out more dudes, because he gets more dudes to chase.
All of last year.
Bryce Miller, on the other hand, he was 95th percentile in walk percentage in the entire league, with a 4.8 walk percentage.
And I don't think he's going to suck at
right? He doesn't put the runners on. And we know that how important that is to Jerry. We know how important that is to the organization. They want to control the zone. And Bryce Miller does provide that. So does Bryan Woo. They're both above average, or at least average.
But all things said, I feel good about Julio. I do.
But I think if you're looking at Miller and you believe in that splitter, if you believe that is going to increase strikeouts, while not significantly hurting his walk percentage, and also making it tougher for hitters to hit against him, I think he's the one you probably want to keep at this instant. But you have more injury concern about the way he throws the ball, having that little bit of a slingy type of motion that does cause a lot of injuries.
I'm like watching the kids all.
I think in the end, I would prefer to trade probably Woo. But you might get more for Miller, since he threw more innings and maybe could be considered more proven than Bryan Woo was. But again, Woo is younger. I think it comes down to personal preference, what you prefer in a player. And either one of them is going to get you a haul. Going to get you a haul.
He's a big deal.
But it depends on who's willing to give up those hauls. Obviously, there have been rumors about the Rays. There were rumors about the Cardinals being in play last trade deadline.
He's just some nobody, right?
Rumors and thoughts around both the Orioles and the Reds. Nothing big in terms of those two, but I think all four of those teams, they match what you'd be looking for. Red Sox fans have been talking all about it. But who knows if there's really going to be a suitor that's willing to pay.
First off,
because it's going to be a hefty cost. And the Mariners will only trade them if they get that cost they want.
If you're looking at ex-WOBA, and that is WOBA.
And I don't know if anyone will do that. Let's look at the Orioles first. Potential trade targets from the Orioles could be someone like an Anthony Santander, switch hitting outfielder. Only issue there, he has 1 year left of control. Another one could be an Austin Hayes, outfielder. Both these players were outfielders. But Austin Hayes could be an outfield target. He's left-handed, though. And if you're searching for an outfielder, you probably want to go right-handed at this point, because you have
baseball stats, that's not very good.
A lot of left-handed outfielders, and you probably want right-handed, someone that you could platoon potentially if you need to, with a Canzone or a Marlowe, whoever. But obviously, ideally, you'd want someone that you could stick in left or right field, and you have Canzone be the other one, and then you've got whoever else on the bench.
Against breaking balls in terms of WOBA.
Or you could be looking for less longer term major leaguers.
So
someone like some prospect type players, someone like a Heston Kjerstad, something like a Kobe Mayo, something like a Jordan Westberg. Those are the type of ideas you could look at. I think ideally what you'd want is you could get something like a Heston Kjerstad and a Kobe Mayo, a Heston Kjerstad and a Jordan Westberg, a Heston Kjerstad and an Austin Hayes, a Heston Kjerstad and a Santander. You'd want a duo of any of those two players. To be able to supply that, because you want the longer term, but you also want that instant impact. He was really good against fastballs. And all those dudes will supply that.
He was.
Because the Mariners, they need instant impact. They need impact
286
now.
Last year, 47.3% of the
all right.
79
Looking at the Rays, there's been a lot of rumors around Randy Arozarena. There have also been rumors around Isaac Paredes, Yandy Diaz. Also, rumors have been floated out about someone like a Brandon Lau, who I haven't talked about, but I like the idea of a Brandon Lau if you pair it with someone. He's on a little bit larger of a contract, though, so I don't know how that would match the Mariners necessarily. You could look at the Reds, right? And you think, well, can you go get Noelvi Marte? Can you go get Christian Encarnacion Strand? Can you go get Spencer Steer? But again, if you go get any one of those players, you're also probably, unless it's Marte, in my opinion at least, you probably also want to pair him with someone like maybe you bring back Jake Fraley, stick him in your outfield. But again, that's a left-handed bat. You need right-handed bats in your outfield right now.
Like I said, overperformed all of those very
So I don't know if the fit's necessarily there. I don't know if the fit is necessarily there anywhere. And I think that just shows how valuable these players are. Nobody's going to want to give up necessarily what it's going to take to get a Bryce Miller or Bryan Woo. They are like the crown jewel of the American League, of the National League, of Major League Baseball right now. They are the crown jewel of trade targets. But it also means they're going to cost a plethora of players. It's going to cost a lot of talent, which, as Mariners fans, that's exciting because that means you get impact. But as a fan of another team, that probably scares you. As neither of them have even played a full year in the big leagues.
He needs to improve on off-speed breaking.
But as a Mariner fan, I couldn't care less. If you get what I want, if you get 2 impact players, 2 impact bats, go do it. Go do it right now. And that brings us along to what is next. What's the next move for this Mariners team? Is it a trade? Is it a signing? Who could it be? I think, obviously, recently we've seen James Paxton. I think that is a very reasonable next move, especially if you have a trade teed up with someone. If you're very close, if you feel confident about completing a trade with someone for Bryan Woo or a Bryce Miller.
And I think he probably will
but I get the feeling their next move is going to be something smaller. I get the feeling it's going to be a small trade where they pick up someone that's going to be a depth piece. Maybe it's a depth right-handed outfielder that you can stick in there. That's not going to be a massive deal. But I think following that, that's when we get either their big trade or a more important signing.
It'll probably allow him to see
I think Jerry DePoto's ready for a big 2024. I think he wants to stay here, fight for his job.
He's going to have a breakout year.
And I hope he stays. He's a great GM. Scott Service is a great manager. But we need to see more commitment from ownership, more commitment from the organization as a whole.
I think he's going to be your third best outfielder.
But hopefully we get a 2024 full of joy, full of excitement as Mariners.
After that one guy named Julio.
Welcome to Seattle Sports Wraparound. Again, this is going to be a weekly segment. Happy New Year. Let's talk Kraken. Let's talk Seahawks. Let's talk National Championship. Let's start with the Kraken. Big win Monday. Big win 3-0 over the Vegas Golden Knights. I said it last episode. You need a big win. You need to show Vegas that you can beat them. And Vegas looked hungover from the new year. They looked like they were asleep. And the Kraken came out with a heavy forecheck. They came out with early goals in each period to quiet Vegas, to shut down any sort of momentum they could gain, and to get the crowd riled up. I was there. It was exciting. What an event. What a special event. And what a special win to put the Kraken at a 9-game point streak. Great win. 9-game point streak. Kraken are creeping up on the playoffs. And it's exciting again. It is exciting to be a Kraken fan. It is. Didn't think I was going to be able to say that again this season, but it's exciting. I'm having fun. It's fun to watch them play hockey again.
He doesn't have to do that.
They're up to 39 points now. They are tied with the Oilers on points. That said, the Oilers have 3 games in hand, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And they know what
the Kraken are fighting. They want to win. And it's fun. It's fun to be a Kraken fan again.
A 2021-esque
It's a lot of fun
for your Seattle Mariners, and I'm very positive.
I hope
we're winning the
they can
World Series.
Continue and they can fight and they
having a good season.
push and get that wild card. I hope they can. They're now only 1 point out. They're behind the Coyotes by 1 point. Coyotes have played 36 games. Kraken have played 38.
It's going to be amazing.
Kraken are 4 points behind the Nashville Predators, and those two teams are even on games played.
Any video you see of it,
so it's exciting. We got to keep winning. We got Ottawa Senators tomorrow night. Today is Wednesday the 3rd. Tomorrow is Thursday the 4th. Hopefully we can get another win against Ottawa, extend that point streak to 10. And it's fun. Great event, Seattle. Great event, T-Mobile Park. Well done, Seattle fans. Go Kraken. We're looking good again. All right, moving on to the Seahawks. Less positive note. Seahawks lost Sunday. They lost on New Year's Eve. They ruined everybody's New Year's Eve with a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could not figure out how to tackle. I think when you looked at that game, when you watched that game, they couldn't tackle Najee Harris. They couldn't tackle the running backs at all. I think when you look at it, you heard Pete Carroll say it this morning. There was one play at least where they missed maybe 5 tackles. Carroll said that. I believe it was more than one. They had that happen a lot. So figure out how to tackle, beat Arizona, hope for a Green Bay loss.
When you look at the split,
I guess make the playoffs, lose first round probably, but
scared.
Yay, go Seahawks. Hopefully we get high draft pick.
Because it was
really Huskies, more positive.
It was really
Huskies
bad.
Last night.
Should we start with the
nail
good
biter?
Let's
Defeated
start with the bad and then switch to
the
good.
Texas Longhorns in the Sugar Bowl. And they're going to go on to face the Michigan Wolverines in the national championship. Huskies won a college football playoff game, y'all.
13 RBIs.
They are 13
strikeouts.
And oh,
his average was 219.
Your Huskies are rolling. They are rolling.
Trash.
And it is fun to watch.
Not good.
They did almost screw it up. Dylan Johnson got injured. They're 14-0, by the way. Sorry. But Dylan Johnson got injured on a third down play with 50 seconds left.
I love you. I do.
And if he had not gotten injured, it would have ran the clock down to about 20, I believe. And by the time they punted and the Longhorns got the ball back, it would have been about 15 seconds to drive basically all the way down the field. But the Huskies won by 6.
And I'm like, who even is this?
And Michael Penix Jr. had a game. He saw the indoor moment that he had been waiting for. And man, did he take advantage. Going 29 for 38 for 430 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dylan Johnson had 2 touchdowns as well. Romo Dunze had another big game, 6 receptions, 125 yards. Grady Gross kicking field goals, doing what he needed to do. He had a 40-yarder, a 27-yarder, a 26-yarder in the game, and a few extra points.
But I'm getting sidetracked. Luke Rayleigh.
And the Huskies,
second half,
they won. They're in the national championship next Monday.
Hit 270.
So let's go beat Michigan. Let's win the Natty.
He also had 15 home runs.
Dubs up. Go.
In the first half. Yeah, nearly double the hits. He did.
Thank y'all for listening.
The first half compared to the second half.
Happy New Year. Happy 2024.
57 hits.
Hopefully it's a big year for Seattle sports. Hopefully it's a big year for the podcast. I can't wait for every episode this year. We're going to try and do it weekly every week. There'll obviously be a few weeks here and there where I can't due to road trips or whatever. But go Mariners, go Kraken, go Huskies, go Seahawks, go Sounders. This is going to be a big year. Let's go win every championship we can. Peace, y'all.
Luke Rayleigh, I don't really know what to expect, what's going to happen. Hopefully it's good and not garbage. But I could see it really either going either way. I could see him having a very good all-star level season or having a season of Jared Kelnick. And I don't want to be a Jared Kelnick hate podcast, but like, yeah, Jared, come on, dude. You can at least think of better insults around this. Come on. You're better than this. But yeah, Luke Rayleigh, really don't know what you're going to see much either way. He needs to improve his whiff, strikeout, and walk percentages all severely. I mean, his whiff percentage is literally the first percentile, which is literally the worst in the league. He whiffed at a 38.9%. He also struck out at 31.5%. That's like some Teoscar Hernandez, Jared Kelnick levels. Sweet spot percentage, also terrible. And when you walk 31.5% of the time, you can't really afford to, or when you strike out 31.5% of the time, God, if you walk that much, that'd be crazy. But when you strike out that much, you can't really afford to walk in the 32nd percentile with a 6.9% walk rate. You gotta walk a little better than that, lad. He also did have -1 outs above average, so like, while his defense is better than most of the dudes in the outfield, it's still not amazing. His barrel percentage is very good. I do want to say that. 84th percentile. But his expected batting average was 225 last year, and like, the dude is full of red flags. I look at his Savant page and I'm like, this dude, like, I feel like he could be so good. He was so good for the first half of last year. His OPS last year was 823, and when you look at that, you're like, wow, I would love a dude to hit 19 home runs, hit 249 with a 333 on base and 490 slugging. And his expected slug was 437. Like, I would love that dude. And we have that dude. But God, you can't whiff that much. You can't strike out that much. It just doesn't feel like it has the longevity to succeed. But maybe he's fixed it. Let's just say he's fixed it. MVP Luke Rayleigh season incoming? Not actually. Moving on, let's get to the infield, shall we? Where should we start here? Should we start with Ty or Jorge? Or the other dude that starts with a J? Wait. Yo, Luis Urias is like low-key out of here. He's the only infielder that's... Oh no, Ty doesn't matter. Like, Jorge, JP, Josh. Just, ooh. Just meshes. Give me some more J names. Oh my God. It's fantastic. Let's start with Ty. Ty freaking France. Vive la France. What do we know about Ty? He went to Driveline, dropped some weight, but also put on some, like, muscular weights. So we took off useless weight in terms of baseball stuff. Took off useless weight, added very nice muscle weights. We do like to see that. Will he have a JP level season? Who knows? And by that I mean, will he have a JP level coming off Driveline season? And who knows? He could. And I would love it. And it would make a difference. Similar to the way Canzone would, if Canzone has the season that I just said he will. Like I said, dominant Canzone for MVP. I'm going to chant it. MVP! MVP! Do it with me, y'all. MVP! But, Ty France, we'll see what happens. He needs to be consistent. He needs to be consistent. And I don't mean consistently trash. I mean consistently at least meh? Right? More line drives. This dude got away from his bread and butter. His bread and butter. 2021, first half of 2022. Line drives. And he was hitting him out of the ballpark. This dude sells out. He's like, ooh, I'm like 7. I'm going to swing for the fences. This is what my cousin does. He's like, he takes the biggest freaking step ever. It's like Daeho Lee level. He takes a big step. And he's like, whoa-poo! That's what Ty France is doing. I'm like, Ty France, dude, you're not Evan White. You're not my cousin Raul. Like, come on, bro. Come on. But if he hits more line drives, improves his walk percentage, we could see some fun stuff happening. He sucked on pitches low and away. Like, sucked. He sucked, dude. He sucked. Like, oh, God. Swung at 159 pitches outside the zone low and away. That's 159 pitches practically in the other batter's box. That's the most pitches he swung at out of any zone. It could be up and in, which he swung at 95. It could be literally middle, which he swung at 148. And when you swing at 148 pitches down the middle of the strike zone, I feel like you should be getting like some results, no? like I'm not obviously a Major League Baseball player, but like, come on, lad. Come on. In terms of swing and misses per zone, horrifically bad in that area. And that is why when you watched last year, you were like, I wonder where they're going to pitch Ty France. First pitch, slider, low and away. Second pitch, slider, low and away. Third pitch, slider, low and away. This dude, man. This dude. Like I was saying, in terms of swing and misses, 87 in that area that I'm talking about. And I don't mean low and away in the strike zone. I mean low and away out of the strike zone. And that's in the 4 quadrants. So it's like quadrant up and in outside of the zone, quadrant up and away out of the zone, quadrant low and in outside of the zone, and quadrant low and away outside the zone. And that fourth one I just said, low and away, yeah, that's where he was trash. Trash, dude. He was trash. And I love Ty France, I do, but oh my God. Now when you look at his whiff percentage there was 55%. When you swing at 159 pitches there, that's how many swings he had in that zone. He whiffed 55% of those. That means he whiffed at least 80 pitches there. 80 pitches. God damn, that's just not good. Not good enough. He also struck out 29 times on pitches in that area of the zone. The most out of any area of the zone. So what am I trying to tell you? Come on, Ty. You got this, bro. You got this. Lay off those pitches there. You got this, bro. This is all you. I believe in you. I believe in Ty France. Please, Ty. Please. You got this, bro. Ty France, I think, is going to have a good season coming up. He's projected by Zips for 15 home runs. I actually think that's a little low. I think Ty France this year is going to be more like a 18, 19, 20 home run dude. I think 15 is a little low. He's also projected for 2.1 F-WAR. I think that's probably about accurate. I don't think that's wrong. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. But like I said, I think he's going to hit more than 15 home runs. He's also projected for only a 16.9 strikeout rate. That's probably about accurate, actually, when you look at it, all of his strikeout rates. WRC plus a 112. Let's think. 112. I would guess that's about where he is. I'd guess it's more like 115. Probably. 115. WRC plus. And this is all via Zips. But, yeah. I think Ty France will have a good season. I think he's more of a 20 home run dude this year. About 2.5 wins. I think he's a WRC plus 115 or 120. I think we got a pretty solid season coming up here. Ty France. Moving on, let's get to new second baseman, Jorge Polanco. I'm going to do this quickly because I really like Jorge Polanco. I think dude's going to have a great season if he stays healthy, as is the caveat with this entire team. But he struck out up and away as both a lefty and a righty pretty significantly when you're comparing it to, like, the rest of the zone. Like, I don't think there's any question for me that Jorge Polanco's a good hitter. I don't, like, even last year, he was a good hitter. when you're looking at it, and I think he's mostly going to hit left this year. I don't think that's surprising. In terms of swing and misses, he swung and missed outside the zone mostly, which doesn't really worry me because if he then lays off those pitches, yeah, that's pretty good. But we're talking about whiff percentage. The dude whiffed inside the zone at 35% in that top left corner, which would be your up and away corner as a left-handed hitter. He also struck out at a 58% clip there. And I'm talking inside the zone. Ty France, I was talking outside the zone, but Jorge Polanco, I'm talking inside the zone. That's not very good. But I don't think that's a type of thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna stick with that. I don't think that's normal for him. Let's look at his 2022 season. K percentage was only 33 there. Whiff percentage was 34, which is honestly not that different. But I don't think that there's I don't think you should be worried about Jorge Polanco up and away. Now, that said, if you get into the season and we're looking at, say, the end of the month and he's struggling against those pitches, then I can say, yeah, I was right. That's the place where he's probably going to get pitched most. And it could be a pretty scary place because if a pitcher is able to locate there, that could be a problem. Now, if the pitcher then misses his location, yeah, Jorge's going to kill you. He's going to kill you. All right? He will. But he does whiff most there. He does strike out most there. Now, in terms of barrels, he does have the most barrels there too, which means if he does hit the ball, he's going to hit it hard, which doesn't really surprise me. But he's got to get the bat there. He's hitting the ball at the hardest hard hit percentage there too. He's just got to do it. He's just got to stop whiffing on those pitches. But that said, Jorge Polanco gonna have a good season. Sweet spot percentage is in the 94th percentile. Now we talked about how Julio didn't really matter that he was low. Now with Jorge Polanco, I think it matters because 94th percentile is pretty freaking good. You can't really get around that, that's good. That's good. Anyway, continuing on. JP, improve against the slider and stay what you were last year. That's all I really got for you, JP. Capitan, I think you're going to do fan-freaking-tastic. I want to get to my favorite player, Josh Rojas. Josh Rojas. Pull the ball, man. If you continue... oh, my God. If you continue to pull the ball like you have, yeah, you're going to have a pretty good season. He's a good player, y'all. People overhate on my boy. This is my boy. Don't hate on Josh. I get that you're oh, we traded Seawald for him, and Seawald's my king, and I love Seawald. And I love Seawald too. And it sucks that he just got a grade 2 oblique strain. It really does. I really don't like to see that. It sucks for the dude. I feel for him. But Josh Rojas isn't just some dude. Josh Rojas is your starting third baseman, and I think he's going to be pretty good. I think he's going to have a good season. Now, is he going to be the type of dude that's blowing you away? No. But I think he's going to be a 20 home run type of dude that's also going to hit 270, let's say, yeah, 270, 20 home runs. I think he's going to OPS around 750. I think he's going to have a good season. I really do. I think you will be surprised. I think he's going to slug higher than he has any season before, slugging around 420. I think we could see a pretty solid season from my boy. I feel really, really good. Really, really good about Mr. Josh Rojas. He does need to improve up and away, low and in. Those are his 2 weak points, but, if he gets pitched in those locations, yeah, he could struggle. But, again, if the pitcher misses, as I was talking about with Jorge, if the pitcher misses that location, Rojas will kill you. He will kill the ball. And I like that. That's it's fun to watch. Josh Rojas, he's going to hit a home run opening day, mark my words. Luis Urias. Stay healthy, dude. If you stay healthy, I think you can have a decent season. Barrel the ball a little bit more. That's what I would say for you, Luis. And just get back to yourself in 2022. get back to where you were. You barreled the ball only 5.8% this year, and your hard hit was bad too. Like 30.1% hard hit rate's just not very good. But that's not really who he is. He is going to be better than that. I truly believe that. He struck out at a higher clip than he had at any point in his career, other than the 2020 season, which I just don't really think is real. Like, that didn't really happen in my brain. Other than Kyle Lewis that year. Kyle Lewis counted. Kyle Lewis counted that year. That's all that mattered that year. But Luis Urias, dude, just be yourself in 2022 and you're going to have a solid season. Your expected slug against every kind of pitch last year was at least 315, and that 315 against breaking balls. And it's kind of hard to slug against breaking balls because they're low. And yeah, it's hard to slug. I think you're going to have a good season. Do I, though? We'll see. I think Luis Urias is going to be worse than Josh Rojas. Is that a hot take? I don't really know at this point. In my mind, it is a hot take. But people hate Luis Urias, and some people kind of like Josh Rojas, but a lot of people also don't really like Josh Rojas. I don't think that third base is our biggest worry right now, especially with this Woo injury. It probably starting pitching depth, and if you don't want to think depth-wise, I think your biggest worry is outfield. Because if Canzone's not the dude you think he is, and Rayleigh's not the dude you think he is, you're really thin. You're really, really thin. Cade Marlowe would be the dude you'd bet to come up and do something, and no. Dylan Moore could have a fun season, and I hope he will. I didn't actually talk about him here, but I think he'll have a fun season. And I really like Dylan Moore. Continuing on, let's get to the catchers. Cal Raleigh. Big dumper. Let's get into it, shall we? Your blocking last year, Cal. It was 13th percentile in the league. Now, this is according to Savant, and not everything is right that they're going to produce, obviously, especially in terms of defensive stuff. But when you're -6 blocks against above average, yeah, improve on that a little bit. I think he will. I actually really like Cal this year. I've always really liked Cal, actually. I was at the game he hit his first home run. It was Filipino night. You know, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I kind of like this Cal dude. I kind of liked him. I liked his nickname, Big Dumper. I kind of like him. I yell Big Dumper. I'm like, Big Dumper! And then he hits the bomb, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Yep, that's why I like him. And it was a tank. That went into, I believe his first home run went into the Hit It Here Cafe. And I really like Cal. I think he's going to be good. I don't think there's really much there. But he does need to hit for some more. Doesn't need to. I'd like to see him hit for some more average. Just because when people look at his stats, like, he hit like 219. He hit, he hit 232 last year. If you hit 232, you're not very good. And like, yeah, I guess, but like, you're looking at stats that dudes looked at in like the 50s. Like, it's just like, average doesn't really matter at this point. Like, he's slugging 456 if you want to look at that type of stat. It's just, yeah, like, his WOBA was 326. Like, ex-WOBA was 330. Like, the dude was good last year. I don't really know why he's not in your top 10 best catchers in the league. If you know what I mean. But he does also need to improve against the breaking ball, which doesn't really surprise. That's kind of the case with all Mariners. Kind of the case with a lot of players in the league. Now, what's really interesting here is I was looking at Savant. I was looking at run value of pitches. He had a -11 run value against four-seam fastballs last year. That surprised me, especially when he slugged 439, which is like pretty good slugging. Now, mostly he slugged against sinkers, and like, he crushed sinkers. His WOBA was 588. He struck out only 10% of the time. He hit 415 with a 951 slug against 178 sinkers last year, and he had 9 run value and only 178 per pitch. If you think about it, per 100 pitches, per run value, 5.2 run value per 100 pitches. That is freaking ridiculous. Like, that is insane. Utterly insane. Now, when you're looking at fastballs, he was -1.3 run value per 100 pitches. that's not so good. Now, if Cal starts hitting fastballs, this league should watch out, because if he can hit sinkers like that, I'm not really sure why he's not hitting fastballs like that. That seems like an outlier to me. I think that he's going to have a good season hitting fastballs. I think he's going to be better than he was last year. Cal Raleigh is going to have a good season. Let's look at his projections. Shall we? Cal Raleigh projected for per Zips 3.7 F WAR. I think that's probably about where he is. I think he's more like 4. I think he's going to be a little higher than that. Kind of saying that with everybody. Now, where I think they're really sucking in terms of WRC plus is his 109, or in terms of projected stats. 109 WRC plus, I leaked it. 109. He is not a 109 WRC plus dude. I don't know why Zips doesn't like him. I think he's going to be a 120 WRC plus dude. That's what he was in 2022. I think he's going to get back up to that pretty easily. Pretty easily. He's only projected to hit 25 home runs. He hit 30 last year. Again, I don't know why Zips doesn't like him. It could be because of expected stats, but this dude, man, he's a 30 home run power. Like, just stop. He's going to hit 30 home runs. Like, that's all that needs to be said about Cal. Sebi Zavala, just be a backup catcher, dude. Don't suck. Like, if you can hit, you can hit. But mostly you're here for defense and to get Cal off his feet. That's what I got about Sevi. Mitch Garver, stay healthy, dude. Stay healthy and you're going to hit. Looking at his Savant page, like, the dude will hit. If he's healthy, he will hit. 98th percentile in chase. 83rd percentile in barrel. 87th in expected slug. 89th in xwOBA. Like, what? The only thing below average is his strikeout percentage, and that's 36th. Like, that's not bad. His walk percentage is 90th percentile, too. The dude's going to hit. If he stays healthy, he's going to hit. And I'm a massive Mitch Garver fan. When I said when they signed him, the dude's going to rake. All he does is rake. He rakes. Rakes. We could call him Rake Garver. Ooh, maybe we should call him Mitch Rake. Rake Mitch? No. He's Garvey. Garvey's going to have a good season, y'all. I mark my words. Let's look at his projections, because I like doing this projections, and it's fun. And I think he's going to be better than the projections, too. And it's more fun to say when they're going to be better. Zips projects him for 1.9 WAR. Yeah, I think he's a 3-win player this year. I think he's going to hit more than 13 home runs. 13! He hit 19 last year, and I think he's going to be more healthy. I think he's going to hit like 25. If he's healthy the entire season, he's easily hitting 30, in my opinion. Easily. I think you're going to have a good season. I think Mitch Garver is going to be a lot of fun. I think he's going to be a fan favorite, because I think he's going to hit for a lot of power and walk. He's not going to strike out. He's going to be like Gino, except for that Gino was like fun in other ways. I think he's going to be like Gino in the way that he hits for power, except he's not going to strike out as much. I think that's really fun, because striking out sucks. It's not fun to watch. He's also projected for a 26.8% strikeout rate. In the past 2 years, his strikeout rate has been down at least 2% from that. And I don't really know why they think it's going to rocket up like that. Like, 2% kind of makes a difference, and I don't think it's going to be that high. I think Mitch Garver's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's what I got for you. Yeah, so continuing on, Seattle Sports Wraparound. Let's start with the Sounders, I guess. I'm going to do this short. Let's do this quickly. Sounders, Rusnak setback. He's supposed to be back. He was on the bench. He played, so that's not a big worry. But, like, why do we keep getting injuries? Is this a staff problem? Is it time for full turnover? I'm not just talking about safe injury staff. I'm not just talking about weight training staff. I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about Schmetz himself. Look at what the Seahawks did. They fired Pete Carroll. Is it time? Is it time? Is it time? I love you, Schmetz, but is it time, dude? I don't know if it is. Moving on to the Kraken. Yeah, playoffs gone. Call up Shane. Call up Shane Wright. Please, I'm losing my mind. Please call up Shane Wright. You need it. The Huskies. Troy Dannon. See ya. Sayonara. Have fun in Nebraska with your corn. New basketball coach. Got him from Utah State, I believe. Yeah, he'll be fun, hopefully. Otani news is pretty crazy actually. I don't really know what the deal is with this. We'll follow it as it's happening. If you didn't hear, his interpreter Ippei was fired, and dude, Ippei was like, he was like kind of like world famous at that point. Like Ippei was like, dude, everyone knew who Ippei was. Like the dude had the sweetest freaking gig, and this dude's like, oh, I got to bet, and like I feel bad because like I get it's highly addictive, I do, and that sucks. It really does. But like, also, dude, you have the sweetest gig. You're best friends with maybe the biggest athlete star in the world. Actually, not. I'm gonna put maybe because Messi is pretty high too, and so is Ronaldo. But in terms of baseball, you are best friends and the interpreter for maybe the greatest baseball player of all time. Like, dude, how are you just gonna f that up? Come on now, dude. You're just gambling. You're stealing 4.5 allegedly. Who knows if it's true? I think you're seeing what I'm getting at, but it's kind of crazy. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. I know this was a little bit longer of an episode. I wasn't planning for that, but it's a season preview, so I hope you all enjoyed it. If you listened this far, thank you so much. If you're not already following or subscribing, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the follow button. Leave me a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, that's fun to say. I always want to say that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Happy opening week. Go frickin' Mariners. We're back. Go Sounders. Go Kraken. Go Dogs. Go 12s. Go Hawks. R.I.P. Ippei. And go Mariners. Tridents all the way freaking up this week. You see it. We reppin'. Roll Mariners. Roll Tridents. Let's freaking go. Peace, y'all.